All right, I'll call the meeting to order. Just as a reminder, we do have a remote attendee for this, so please try to use your mics. Are we properly noticed?
The meeting is noticed according to law.
Roll call.
President Johnson.
Here.
Trustee Harding.
Here.
Commissioner Morath.
Here.
Commissioner Stefan.
Here.
Commissioner Hayes and Commissioner Leaderhouse are excused.
All right. I'm assuming no citizen participation. The audience is packed with only our applicant, so we will skip that. Approval of minutes from June 8th.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Questions or discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, ordinances and code amendments. Item 1, conditional use amendment application submitted by East Troy Community School District, Sean Beck's agent, to incorporate the district's existing transportation facility into the indoor institutional land use for East Troy High School, and an associated site plan amendment to replace the transportation building and bus parking area for the property located at 3128 Graydon Avenue, bearing tax parcel number RXUP 00202, application 2026-09. So I'll open the public hearing, and Orrin, if you can kind of, I guess the first memo here is from Tim, but if you can maybe walk us through that and your memo, and then we'll hear from the applicant and go through any questions.
So we're here for public hearing for the conditional use portion of this application. We also have the subsequent site plan for, again, this is a proposed transportation facility for the school district. Happens to be on the same property as the high school. If you remember back to our middle school project with the school district, in that instance, that facility hadn't had any projects for quite some time since the zoning code had been updated. And one of the things that we had to do was establish a conditional use for that particular portion of the school district's assets, because indoor institutional land uses in a SR4 residential district are only allowed as a conditional use now. Previously, there may have been an institutional zoning where that was a permitted use. With the current code layout, indoor institutional uses like the high school, like the middle school, are only allowed as a conditional use in the SR4 district. The high school has actually had some projects in the recent past. So back in 2015, the high school did get a conditional use permit. Unfortunately, that conditional use permit didn't cover the transportation facility. It was specific to the indoor institutional use for the high school, and it mentioned, indoor classroom activities and other incidental outdoor activities. The current ask is specifically for the transportation facility portion of the high school property. There's some referendum funding for this project. The school district has some specific needs on their end as far as the operations of the transportation facility being able to continue during the construction project. They also want to maximize the use of the existing space, so they will not burden the rest of the site. They don't want to cut into any of the parking that's used for the high school, and they have some limitations as far as the disturbance area because they don't want to get into costly stormwater requirements. So we're working within, again, a tight box as far as the site. So as far as the use goes, what we're proposing is to incorporate the transportation facility into the existing, use approval for the high school, and then also have the site plan approval. Since the packet went out, we had a really productive teams meeting with the project team from the school district. This was last Thursday. So my staff review includes a conditional use order, and that has some conditions in it that pertain to some items that needed to be finalized with the site plan. We went through all of both staff review comments and covered some of Lynch's comments as well, which are in the packet. And we think we're going to be able to all come to an agreement and address all of those. Unfortunately, some of both's comments required a redesign of the site and the layout of the building on the site. The architecture of the building will remain the same, and the project team was able to get us some renderings that are in the packet and a material sample that's in the packet as well. That wasn't something that I was able to review and comment on as part of my staff review, but I think it will be very helpful for you all to see tonight. So the building will not change from what's in your packets. The location will have to shift a bit to accommodate the street offset for the SR4 district. And so the project team's architect is here tonight. If there's any questions about the specific architecture of the building and how it's going to look. The materials that they've chosen do have a nod to the existing facility. So there's a veneer that wraps around the building that will match the material of the high school itself. This same type of metal has been used on other buildings on the campus. The overall scope of this project, this is a downsizing of the building itself. This will be smaller than the footprint of the current building. And to accommodate the operations there, the building is shifting from the north side of the parking area for the buses to the south side. And so as far as the overall impact of impervious surface, it's pretty much a wash. There's really not much of an impact there. The building itself is shrinking down to about 6,000 square feet, and they won't have as much room for vehicles to park under a roof like they do at the current facility, but they are hoping to still be able to park all of the buses in that same footprint. So the conditional use order, again, addresses amending the existing conditional use to add the transportation facility. It addresses some of the conditions to have some of the items that were review comments addressed on the back end. And I think the part of this was the engineer for the project being able to figure out the grading and the drainage and some of the things that would shift as far as a ripple effect from the building shifting on the site. As far as the location of those conditions, those would be under the ongoing. You've got it partially covered by the ongoing conditions, and there is a initial condition of approval A that says that the property owner must submit a site plan application to the Plan Commission and get Plan Commission approval. So if your approval tonight is contingent upon them addressing both review comments as part of the site plan portion would then be addressed administratively by myself prior to the building permit being issued, and the conditional use would go on to the board for their approval. And then there is also a condition in the recommended, if you will, for the site plan that it be subject to getting the conditional use approved. So some of the other things that were outstanding that would need to be addressed were some foundation plantings for landscaping, the lighting. There will be some wall packs. We just wanted to confirm that those would be full cutoff and not have any light spillage at the property boundaries. Again, we have the missing bit regarding the architecture and the elevations and what the look of the building will be. And then overall, the village engineer's comments would have to be addressed and the grading permit approved by the building inspector. So that's pretty much where things stand. Again, the project team was kind enough to join us this evening. So if there's any specific questions for them from the Plan Commission, they'd be happy to help try to answer those.
Do you guys have anything you want to add before we get to questions? Or did Warren cover it? Okay. All right, great. All right, questions from the commission?
Is this project gonna be done before school starts next year or while school's going on or?
Does the location include a fuel tank, or where is the fuel tank associated with, there's no fuel tanks over there? Okay. Okay,
Just, can you guys, since for Mike? Yeah. Sorry, just because we have somebody remote and for the recording. So your question was just, is there a fuel tank involved?
Yeah, the fueling operations are offsite, so there will be no fuel tank. And which is the current condition. There's no fuel tank on site now.
okay, thank you. Does it address all the, some of the concerns that they had from the Facilities Review Committee that we had for the district? That we had, there were a whole bunch of items that were being addressed, and were a lot of those addressed?
Is this the facility condition assessment?
It was one that we had, I was on the facilities board at the time, and there were a lot of issues that they had over there, like the phased insulation coming down, and that was going to be changed. There were a lot of the opportunities in the building that was going to be planned to be improved on the new.
Yes. Yeah, so PSI actually did the facility condition assessment on that building and the site. So yeah, part of that, part of the conditions, the conditions that we recommended is all part of this project. It'll be a much more energy efficient building and be much more useful for the longevity of the building for the school district.
Thank you. One more question, actually, we got a couple more, was were turning radiuses done for the new location?
Yes, there was extensive vehicle turning analysis done by our civil engineer who's online to make sure that the buses could turn around and get to every place that they needed to get to.
I would also add that they were, the drive-through wash bay facility, we did a turning template to show that they could exit that and make the turn without encroaching on the existing parking to the south.
Thanks. Were there any reviews as far as the site contamination from the old building? Or was there anything that we think we should be anticipating with demolition of the old building?
We don't believe so. Again, because there was no fuel tanks, no buried tanks on the site. We have no reason to believe that there is contamination soil.
All right, thanks.
That's true. We did do soil borings.
Nothing else? Thank you.
So a couple of questions, and maybe Warren, from your guys' teams meeting from last week. So there's 9 things here from Lynch and Associates, and you said some of these were addressed. Which ones are not addressed, or were they all addressed?
I think there were a couple of them that were in Foth's comments and Lynch's independently, so those certainly were addressed. So for example, Tim's comment regarding site lighting and staff parking were things that were covered by both. So to address the staff parking, there's a parking lot to the east, just across the road from this facility where staff will plan to park there and or there may have been a few internal spots previously. Those will not carry forward into the new layout. There will be, again, as much bus parking and then suburban/van parking as can be within the fenced area. And staff will be in that satellite lot to the east. Again, as far as the site lighting, there's currently 2 pole mounted lights that are out there and some wall pack lighting on the building. The new wall pack lighting will be full cutoff. Likely the pole mounted lights would go away as part of having to reposition the building. If any of those remain, then they're fine. If they're going to be replaced, those would be replaced with full cutoff fixtures, but they don't think that those will make the demolition. So as far as the other comments, there was some correspondence between the district staff and Jason as far as some of these issues with the utilities. So some of this, I think, is just showing the follow-up plan work for things that they've already talked about and worked out in conversation. And a lot of these are typically handled after the plan commission's review and approval anyways. But certainly everything will have to be addressed prior to, again, the land disturbing activities as far as finalizing the comments pertaining to stormwater and the grading plan and things like that.
From a project timeline, I guess maybe more to the district as the applicant here. So if this gets approved tonight, then the conditional use order goes to the village board, which we don't meet again till the 6th. Is that going to be a problem from a standpoint of your guys' project?
To a certain extent, we want to minimize the impact to the school district, not going to the school year as far as we can. So the earlier that we can start, the sooner that we can do that, obviously the better it is for our clients.
And then from a building permit standpoint, I know there was some confusion with the building inspector about a permit being pulled for the middle school, and it had this as combined. Is that going to be?
I talked to
rectified?
Scott actually about an hour ago, and we worked that out. I put it all into one form, so I need to revise, and I can do that tomorrow.
All right, I guess maybe you and Eileen and I should have a conversation about if this is approved village board schedule.
I guess my follow-up question to Orrin too is how long will it take to work through those details to issue the zoning permit?
Probably not long. So as soon as the design team is able to come up with the revised plan set, which they just weren't able to do before tonight, again, because of the way that the building shifting rippled through the engineering plans, the civil set. So as soon as that's available, I can review it, get my items ticked off. Again, we all seem to be in agreement at that meeting last week that there would be able to be accommodations for all of the questions and comments. So as soon as that gets submitted, I would imagine that will be done before that July 6th meeting of the board.
Okay,
So
that's what I was
Yeah.
looking for.
we may
Yeah.
even have materials to be able to forward for that.
Yeah, Lauren, I would anticipate having revised civils by the end of next week. At the latest, what is that? We're talking the 29th, 33rd? Yeah. At the latest end of next week.
Okay, just understand that the 3rd is a holiday. So
Oh, that is the
meeting
third.
agendas and packets have to be posted on Thursday, which means your cutoff from staff would be what?
What they're submitting won't have to come to the board.
Okay, all right.
But if we have anything new, we can forward it along for the packet.
Yeah.
So it's usually Wednesday at noon, probably at the latest.
Right, because we'll be closed on Friday, but with what they're submitting, that'll be administratively approved for the zoning permit. We really just need to forward the conditional use to the village board. So we'd have to have a special meeting, which could be a remote meeting.
I have one more question for you guys. Sometimes on the roofs, and I'm just going in details here, otherwise if it's not, makes any sense. Usually there's roof rails on the metal roofs to catch, for sliding ice and snow. I didn't see anything on the mock-up that you had there. Is that something that you're still planning on putting on, or maybe there's not a requirement?
Yes, we'd be putting that usually on a metal roof. You want those on there to break the snowfall off the roof. Yeah, yep.
Okay, I just didn't see it on there. Minor deal, okay. Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to add? Any other questions from the commission? I would just add, I think the village has shown an extreme amount of flexibility here. I would hope that you guys continue to work with staff to avoid some of these hiccups that we've encountered with this. So please make yourselves available for that, especially when it comes to some of these inspections that we've got to do. I think that this would have gone a lot smoother if there'd just been some more planning up front. Okay, if nothing else, then I will close the public hearing. I'll move on to discussion and recommendation to the village board. I entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the conditional use amendment request to incorporate the school district's transportation facility in the indoor institutional land use. Property located at 3128 Graydon Avenue, subject to the terms in the draft conditional use order.
I'll second it.
It gives you the authority you need to make staff adjustments.
Could we do the site plan via a secondary motion?
All right, so on the motion for the conditional use, questions or discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, so you need one for the site plan? Okay. We'll let Brian get situated.
I make a motion that we approve the site plan, the plan of operation request for East Trice Community School District with the following conditions, 1 through 25.
I'll second that.
All right, questions or discussion on that motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. So then we will have to determine for the village board's approval when that meeting will occur. So we'll let you know on that. Plan Commission's next scheduled meeting is July 13th. Do we think we will need that? Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we've actually got quite a few items for the July 13th meeting, so
Okay. That will teach me to ask that question.
we will be here.
All right. Then I will move that we adjourn. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming in. Have a good rest of your evening.